By Ethan Walker. You never forget the moment your life fractures. For me, it was a Thursday. Gray sky. Coffee half cold. And a truth I didn't ask for, but couldn't unsee. My name is Ethan Walker. And this is the story of how the woman I loved became a stranger. And how that betrayal became the blueprint for something much darker. I met Claire Bennett 6 years ago at a friend's engagement party. She was standing alone near the wine table, sipping red and looking like she had just walked out of a dream I didn't know I'd been having. Witty. Elegant. The kind of beauty that didn't try, and didn't have to. She laughed at my awkward joke. I asked if she believed in love at first sight or just in well-timed wine. She said, "Ask me in 10 years. 3 years later, we were married." Claire was smart, a graphic designer with a sharp eye for detail and a sharper tongue when she was mad. But she loved fiercely. Or at least, I thought she did. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. We fought about dishes and forgot anniversaries, but we always found our way back. At least, I thought we did. I should have seen the signs. She started working late. Laughed at texts she never showed me. Kept her phone on silent at home. I asked once, "Everything okay?" She kissed my cheek and said, "Just busy." But the kisses felt colder. The warmth behind her eyes had dimmed. Then came Marcus. He was a copywriter at her agency. I'd heard the name before, mentioned in passing. Marcus said this, or Marcus found the client last minute. I met him once. He had that effortless confidence, the kind that walks into a room and owns it without asking permission. I remember how he looked at Claire. Not like a coworker. Like a man who already had her. I brushed it off. Told myself I was paranoid. I was wrong. One night, she left her laptop open. She was in the shower. I wasn't snooping, God knows, I never had before. But something gnawed at me. There it was. A chat window. Marcus, last night didn't feel wrong. It felt real. Claire, I know. It scares me. I stared at the screen like it had punched me. There were more. Weeks of messages. Meetups. Lunches. Nights. Excuses. Whispers in the dark while I made dinner downstairs. My hands trembled. My heart didn't break, it detonated. I closed the laptop. Sat on the couch. Waited. She walked in 20 minutes later, towel wrapped around her, smelling like lavender and lies. "Hey," she said. "You okay?" I looked at her. I mean really looked. And all I could see were pieces of the life I thought we had, scattered at her feet. "How long?" I asked quietly. Her smile faded. "What?" "You and Marcus." "How long?" Silence. Then, slowly, she sat across from me. Eyes wide. No denial. No fake confusion. "Ethan," she whispered. "Please don't." "How long?" I repeated, my voice cracking. 3 months. She didn't cry. Neither did I. Not then. "Do you love him?" I asked. She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. I left that night. Packed a bag in 10 minutes, drove to my brother's. He opened the door, took one look at my face, and didn't ask a damn thing. Just handed me a beer and let me sit in silence. The next day, Claire texted me. "Claire, please let's talk. It wasn't supposed to happen this way." I didn't respond. I spent the next few days half alive. Everything felt surreal, like I was watching someone else's marriage fall apart from the outside. Friends started asking questions. My parents called. I told them it was complicated. That word. That fucking word. It never means healing. It means betrayal in slow motion. Then Marcus called me. Yes. He called me. "I thought you deserved to hear it from me," he said. I said nothing. I didn't plan it, he continued. Claire and I, it just happened. You thought I deserved that? Silence. I didn't mean to hurt you, man. And for the first time in days, I felt something other than grief. I felt rage. Cold. Focused. Electric. I'm not your man, I said. I'm the guy whose life you helped burn. Then I hung up. That night, I stared at the ceiling in my brother's spare room and realized something. They didn't just betray me. They built a fantasy on top of the ashes of my reality. And now, they got to smile through meetings and pretend nothing happened. But I remembered. And I would make sure they remembered too. Not through yelling. Not through violence. But with precision. With patience. They made me feel powerless. But what they didn't know, what they never saw coming, was what I'd become because of them. I wasn't just broken. I was becoming sharper. Colder. Smarter. And I had nothing left to lose. You don't just walk away from betrayal. You carry it. In your chest. In your jaw. In every shallow breath. The days after Claire's confession passed like sludge. I existed. Ate when my brother reminded me. Slept when exhaustion shut my body down. I wasn't living. I was bleeding in slow motion. But beneath the grief, something else was growing. Purpose. It started one morning, 2 weeks after I left. I was scrolling through Instagram, half awake, when I saw it. A photo. Claire and Marcus at some corporate event. She wore a green dress, the one I bought her for our anniversary. His arm around her waist like he owned it. Her smile frozen like glass. The caption read, Power couple energy briefcase fire. My hands shook, but I didn't scroll away. I stared. And I realized something. They weren't hiding. They were flaunting it. Rewriting our story without me. Turning their betrayal into a love story. And the world? The world would buy it. Unless I did something. So I began planning. Not in a dramatic, revenge flick kind of way. No guns. No flames. No chaos. My weapon would be subtle. Precise. Character assassination through exposure. Let the world see the truth, piece by piece. Step 1. Collect data. I created a fake profile. Female. Early 30s. Attractive but believable. I called her Ivy, a nod to the way Claire's betrayal had wrapped around me like a vine. Ivy became a freelance designer on LinkedIn and Behance. Then I followed Marcus. He followed back in under a day. Pathetic. Within 2 weeks, he was messaging Ivy late at night. Flirting. Bragging. Sending voice notes. Marcus, honestly, Claire's cool, but complicated. You know how women get. The irony punched me in the gut. I screen recorded everything. Then I waited. Meanwhile, I dug into Claire's agency, specifically the contracts she managed. I still remembered the name of a luxury client she used to stress over. I reached out, pretending to be a journalist doing a story on design fraud in big firms. To my surprise, the client answered. And they weren't happy. Turns out Claire had submitted plagiarized mock-ups once, designs almost identical to a French artist's portfolio. The client had let it go quietly, not wanting PR drama. I thanked them. Save the emails. More fuel. Step 2. Leak with intent. I made a burner email. Sent screenshots of Marcus's messages to Claire. From Ivy. Then I sent a folder of those messages, and the plagiarism evidence, to Claire's boss. Anonymous. No signature. Just facts. Within 48 hours, both Claire and Marcus were removed from the firm's public website. The company issued a vague restructuring statement on LinkedIn. And I watched the world they built together start to crack. Claire called me 4 times that week. I didn't answer. Then came the text. Claire, I know what you did. What the hell is wrong with you? Wrong? I wanted to scream. To write her 1,000 lines of every moment she stabbed me with silence and lipstick-covered lies. But instead, I replied. Ethan, what's wrong is thinking you could bury me and walk away clean. But revenge is a tricky beast. You think it'll heal you. But sometimes, it opens new wounds. I wasn't sleeping. I was obsessed. Checking their socials. Following reactions. Reading between lines. One night, I stared at Claire's old scarf hanging on my closet door for 2 straight hours. What was I becoming? Then something happened that I didn't expect. I ran into Marcus. In the grocery store of all places. He looked like hell. Eyes bloodshot. Hair greasy. His car empty except for whiskey and frozen pizza. Ethan, he said, almost surprised I was real. I said nothing. You happy now? He asked. You got your revenge? No, I said calmly. Not yet. He stared at me. Then, for the first time, I saw something behind his eyes. Fear. But I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired. I walked past him. Out into the night. Sat in my car. And cried. Not because I missed them. But because I didn't recognize myself. This wasn't who I was. Or maybe it was. Maybe betrayal carves out the old you to make room for someone colder. Someone smarter. Someone no longer willing to be collateral in someone else's happiness. That night, I made one final decision. I would finish what I started. Not because I needed more vengeance. But because I needed closure. Real closure. The kind that doesn't come with rage, but with control. There was one last thing Marcus didn't know. Something that would make him finally understand what it feels like to lose everything. And Claire? She had chosen her side the moment she let him into our bed. Now I would show her what that choice really cost. Not just love. Not just a marriage. But her future.
By Ethan Walker. Revenge isn't about justice. It's about silence. Not the kind you hear. The kind you feel when you've finally taken back the power someone stole from you. And in that silence, you choose what's left of yourself. I knew what I was doing wasn't noble. I never pretended to be the hero in this story. But if I was going to walk away from the wreckage of my life, I wanted to be the one holding the matches, not just watching the fire. And there was one last flame to light. Marcus thought he'd lost his job, his relationship, his public face. But I still had something else. A secret Claire told me one night while we were lying in bed, years ago, vulnerable, half drunk on wine and trust. She'd said Marcus had cheated on a previous girlfriend, that he had a reputation in college, that his current persona, the composed, clever rising star, was a crafted shell. And worse, she once told me Marcus had falsified a portion of his resume to land the job at their agency. A fake internship in Berlin, one she helped cover up. At the time, I shrugged it off. Trusted her. But I remembered. So I hired a private investigator. What came back wasn't shocking, but it was damning. Marcus had never worked in Berlin. In fact, he'd been unemployed for 6 months during that time, living off credit cards and charm. His degree was real, but the portfolio he submitted for the job, half of it belonged to a designer in Prague who hadn't posted in years. Plagiarism. Fraud. Lies. I packaged everything neatly, and I sent it to the company Marcus was currently interviewing with, a bigger firm in Chicago, the one he was bragging about joining in his Ivy messages. I didn't need to hear the fallout. I didn't need to see it. I just wanted him to know. I could end him, anytime I wanted. Claire, meanwhile, had gone quiet. Her social media vanished. Her LinkedIn deleted. She must have known the agency was never going to risk rehiring her, not with the plagiarism report floating in HR's private files. But I wasn't done with her, either. I sent her a letter. Yes, handwritten. It wasn't rage-filled. It wasn't cruel. It was cold. Controlled. Clear. Claire, you taught me something valuable, that love can blind a man, but betrayal teaches him how to see. I don't hate you. Hate is a tether. You're nothing to me now. Just a scar I've decided to keep as a reminder. I hope whatever version of the truth you tell yourself helps you sleep. This is the last time you'll hear from me. Don't reach out again, Ethan. And then I stopped. No more spying. No more planning. No more feeding the wolf inside me. I moved out of my brother's place. Found a small apartment with brick walls and too much echo. I bought a cheap couch. Started cooking for one. I started going to therapy. Not because I was broken, but because I didn't want the man they tried to turn me into to be the man I stayed. It wasn't easy. Some nights I still woke up sweating, heart racing, thinking I was back in that room, watching them together. But those nights came less often. And then one day, it just didn't hurt as much. A year passed. I was walking through a bookstore when I saw her. Claire. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, but emotionally. Like life had folded her in half. She saw me too. Froze. We stood there in silence, between shelves of fiction and memoirs. Ethan, she said. I nodded once. Claire. She took a step forward. Can we talk? I studied her for a long moment, then shook my head. No. Her eyes filled with something. Maybe regret. Maybe just ego bruised from being denied. But I didn't care anymore. I don't hate you, I said gently. But I don't owe you anything. And I walked away. Later that night, I sat on my balcony, watching the city breathe. The old version of me would have wanted her to suffer. But the man I'd become, he just wanted peace. And I had it. Finally. It's funny how life breaks you to rebuild you. I lost my wife. I lost my home. I lost the illusion of love. But I gained something better. Clarity, strength, and the quiet power of knowing that I faced a storm and survived it. They'll probably never know the full extent of what I did. But that's the beauty of it. Revenge doesn't need applause. It just needs to end the story on your terms. And mine ends here, with silence and freedom.